Hey guys, this is V. Rigoni, Max, high performance real estate entrepreneur. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. So you want to buy real estate. So who do you got to deal with? A real estate agent. Do you want to buy your property from a real estate agent that's doing it part-time? Well, maybe, I don't know. Do you want to be using someone that is seasoned? If you want to get into this business and you want to be buying property for the purpose of creating wealth, then you got to have the right kind of real estate agent. You have to have the real estate agent that understands commercial property, understands buying property for rental purposes. It is a specific field, and then get their references. I don't care if they're the biggest agent in the county. If they're only selling single family homes to homeowners, that's not the agent you want. If it's multifamily, then get out there and find the right agent in the multifamily space. Right now is a great opportunity to be out there and create relationships with multifamily real estate agents, because when the market is hot, you can't talk to these people. They have a group of people they deal with, because some of the best deals come from off-market deals. What do I mean by an off-market deal? Well, it's what we used to call a pocket listing when I was in real estate myself. This is a listing that the guy knows that this apartment building is going to be for sale next month, 6 months from now. They've already talked to the owner. The owner's getting ready to do it. It's in their pocket. You want that agent calling you about that deal. But in order to do that, you have had to have created a relationship with that person, because that person's going to call 2 or 3 or 4 of his investors. Does that mean all of those investors are going to line up and put an offer on that deal? No. They might be in different circumstances. They might have a deal going, you might have one of the investors has got a deal underway right now. Another one's looking at a different deal, is more interested in that. So they're going to call 3 or 4 people. If you want to be one of those people on the list, in order to do that, they've got to have faith that you're going to, number one, have the ability to buy the property, and number 2, are going to close it, and you're not going to necessarily, this gets a little multifamily-ish, but you're not going to retrade the deal. They're looking for these things from you. And what do we mean by retrade? That's a term where after you put the property under contract, you have a period of time to do your due diligence. Well, in that due diligence, you find something wrong with the property. It might be cosmetic, might be more than cosmetic, it just might be. And then you go in and you want to renegotiate the price. That can be really good for you, but real estate agents freaking hate it. So if you get a reputation where you're always retrading, they are not going to call you. Now, in the beginning, you're not going to be worried about that, because it's a new relationship. But you want to be able to build those relationships now. Now, where can you find some of these people I just talked about? Where can you find that attorney? Where can you find that CPA? Where can you find that real estate agent? Well, if you're into multifamily investing, then you're going to find those people at meetup groups, possibly meetup groups in your local area that are dealing in multifamily. And there's these meetup groups out there. If you're talking about single family residential, like I said, you'll probably find that in a meetup group also. So some of these people, you just have to identify. They're in your neighborhood. Go identify them. If you don't, then you're just going to pay the price. I have paid the price. Yes, there's always going to be some failure to success, but it's like going to school on the golf course. I've talked about this. If you're on the green and your ball is next to near the other guy's ball, and you say, hey, I'm going to go to school on watching him hit his first, so he does his putt, you get to see how the ball moves on the green. Well, you get to adjust from what he did. That's where wisdom comes into play. So you don't have to make every single failure. You're going to have your failures. You're going to overcome your failures. So we've talked about the real estate agent. We've talked about the attorney. We've talked about the CPA. All right, what about a home inspector? You need a good home inspection. That person is on your team. You see, part of your business team is also going to be your acquisition team. These people are going to help you. Yes, you need to do your taxes at the end of the year, but you also need to have some tax advice if you're buying something and you need that tax advice now. These people have become part of your business team. Some of these people become part of your acquisition team, and that's a good building inspector. Should you just take the building inspector that's recommended to you by the real estate agent? Absolutely freaking not. That building inspector gets those referrals from that agent. They know that if they get too critical on a building all the time and it gets killing the deal, that real estate agent is not going to recommend you. So there is an inherent conflict of interest. Does that mean that every inherent conflict of interest creates unethical behavior? No. But why put yourself in a position? Go find yourself a good home inspector that you can then put on your team, so that when you're buying a piece of property in XYZ location, you call them up, they go and do the inspection, you're the guy they're talking to. That also includes an environmental specialist. So when you're buying a piece of property on your acquisition team, if you're buying commercial, you're buying multifamily, you may need to do a phase 1 environmental report. You want to make sure that you've got that person on your team. These are the people you got to line up in advance. and they're happy to take a phone call. Take them to lunch. You have to understand, you build the right team. Do you think the plumber once in a while finds out about a building that's for sale and then they call you up and say, hey, I was in this building. I think it's probably not a bad deal. I don't do that, but I know you do. And, by the way, if you buy the property, he'll end up getting the work. And so he may refer you over to the building. Same thing goes with the lawyers. They have people dying all the time. They have people getting divorces all the time. They may not be a divorce attorney, but they may know other divorce attorneys, or in their practice, they might have a divorce attorney. And there's an apartment building, a 4-flat, a 6-flat, something coming up. It doesn't have to be a huge one. It could be just what you're looking for. If you build these relationships and you make them deep, they'll be not only be taking care of the function in which they're supposed to be doing, they'll also be bringing you deals from time to time. So you've got your environmental specialist, you've got your home inspector. You see how your team has to build out? What's another person that needs to be on your team? Pest control. You need to make sure you got somebody you can call when there's bats inside the wall. We've had bats in the wall. If you're in the north, when it gets cold, mice attack homes. What do I mean by that? They try to get in. Do you want to be going laying traps, or do you just call somebody up? But that person's on your team. You know who you're going to call. You don't have to. It doesn't have to be a new exploration, a new relationship every time you need something. But you want to get out there. You want to hire the right person, and then you want to put them on your team. That's how you make this work. That's how you get this to where it wants to be. Because if you do this, then tenants, toilets, and termites are not your big problem. They're just part of the business. Your real estate agent, they may also be helping you doing your leasing of your properties. They may be the person that is selling you the property and then helping you with the lease. And if they don't do that, they may have somebody else that does it that they can recommend. So now you have somebody working on your team that can help you fill out the leases, do all that stuff. Why? Because it's going to be a hell of a lot cheaper to have that person help you with the lease than it is to turn it over to your attorney and having him bill you out at $350 an hour. These are the things you need to know. These are the things that I've learned. You have your business team, your acquisition team, your property management team. Now, if you get big enough, you can consolidate some of these teams. If you've got a 50-unit building, well, you may just be hiring out a property management company. And then they've got the relationships with the plumbers, and they've got the relationship with the electrician. You're not sending your own electrician out there. You've given them a budget that they can use. They can have limits of repairs. But remember, when you're dealing with a straight property management company, once again, it's a member on your team at that point. You want to make sure that you're dealing with the right property management company. What's their results? Get some referrals. Call those referrals. Find out, were the people happy with them? Are they bonded, right? They're dealing with your rents. Are they responsive? What's their software are they using? Are they using a mainstream software that interacts with tenants? These are the things you want to know if you're dealing with a person that's on your team that is going to be your complete property manager. When you deal with property management companies, you can negotiate a couple different ways in which you can do it. They could be the full solution. They could be doing it from collecting rents to doing repairs to taking care of everything. Or maybe you're not big enough for that yet, so you have them doing some portion of it. Maybe they're just going to do the leasing up part. Maybe you don't want to use an independent real estate agent. Maybe you also want to use a property management company that has good skills in leasing up properties. Well, you can negotiate that. It can be based upon your size. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing with a lot of these companies. And then understand how they're going to bill you. Is it going to be 10% of the rent? Is it going to be 1 month's rent? A lot of times real estate agents, if they're going to lease the property for you, they want 1 month's rent on small properties. Well, you can't do that on large properties. Then they may want 10% or 8% or 4%. You can negotiate that. These are the different members of your team. That's why team building is so important. And it'll take away a lot of the grief. I've always said, right? One of the things I say all the time, the amount of money you make in your life will be totally dependent upon the amount of aggravation you're willing to put up with. But that doesn't mean you cannot mitigate aggravation. There's a cost to mitigating aggravation, right? And there's nothing wrong with paying that cost if you can afford it. If you can't afford it, then you put up with the aggravation until you can afford to mitigate it. Now, I hope this is helping you. Hey, V. Rigoni, Max, High Performance Real Estate Entrepreneur. Let's get out there. Let's like this video. Let's subscribe to the channel and leave some comments because I like to hear what you got to say. Talk to you soon.